Welcome back to the First Guild Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm co-host Scott.
And today we're going over Abyssal Arcanus, chapters 41 through 45. And before we get into today's chapters, do also like to thank everybody for listening. If you could, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff for us. Along with, if you want to mention the Frayed Chronicles wiki link is down in the description below, along with the Capitalization Discord server, so that way y'all can go over there and join in on the fun there. And Shammy, if you haven't heard, is releasing a new book, 1/5 Dragon. This is a traditional publisher that she is using this time, so if you have not gotten on pre-order yet, I suggest you do it, because we all know anything that Shammy writes is essentially as good as gold.
I pre-ordered, so
I haven't really found something that of hers I haven't liked, so
I haven't either. And I mean, I may not be the end all be all of role models, but I pre-ordered, so
same here. With that, we'll jump into today's chapters.
Chapter 41 is Moss. We actually pick back up with Ashlynn fighting Gray. Gray is really learning a lot about fighting through Deimos. Essentially, he's like, oh, this is really working. When I put my weight here, it's very balanced. These steps work. These are the things I look for. So he's picking up a lot from Deimos, even though Deimos isn't directly instructing him. He makes a comment to Ashlynn that he's willing to fight her without Deimos. He made this mistake once, but, you do stupid things for love, I guess. So she, however, says no, and she wants to take them both on. His trick of the trade this time is actually that he's going to transform Twain into a coatl. So now we have a wind versus lightning battle on our hands. And his strategy, instead of trying to really beat her up, he's like, I'm not going to go all Deimos on her and, just swap her with my practice stick here. But he ends up knocking her leg out to try and get her down to the ground, and then just putting a huge gust of air to just push her out of the arena. We do have another moment where Deimos is dealing with something in the Abyssal Hells, so Gray is kind of feeling another stab of pain here of, something going on, can't really tell what it is, but things are not right. And as Gray is kind of making the rounds afterwards, he does overhear a lot of people talking, and we start to understand that nobody bet on Gray. Which, okay, to start, I get you don't want to bet on Gray, you don't really know who he is, he's a lowborn, yada yada yada. But the dude crushed it in the first few rounds. You feel like at least somebody would be like, maybe he's got a trick up his sleeve.
I would just say that if I was Gray's parents, I'd be like, oh, suck on that. Yeah.
Suck on that candle. It's 100% beeswax.
Ain't no wick about it.
No, I just picture him like strutting around the arena too, like holding two of them out. Just like do a little dance. Like, that's a candle maker's son right there. The crowd is also talking smack about Ashlynn, unfortunately. It's kind of like this, he's a lowborn and she had trainers that were paid for. I bet that cost a lot of money. So not cool. Yeah, highborns are just not cool. That's pretty much what I'm getting out of this.
They're also like, oh yeah, she was born sickly. Her brother would have won. Fuck.
It's so dumb.
Freaking pricks.
Yes. Helmuth is talking to Ryker. Helmuth is talking to Ryker and Karna. Karna doesn't have a star, but Gray's a little bit confused because he can sense a thread coming from her. So he's not really sure how she has a thread without a star. So tricky little Karna pulling off her I'm not an Arcanist tricks. Adelgis did give Ryker permission to bring Moss, and I think this is a couple of reasons. One, he knows Ryker a lot better than I think a lot of like the other random highborns. And also, Moss is kind of one-of-a-kind shapeshifter, so it's a lot harder for people to tell. It's not like somebody's going to be like, oh, that's a dragon. Somebody brought their Eldrin with them. They're going to be like, why are there 17,000 bunny rabbits? And Adela's can be like, it's a magical place. I don't know. The other fun fact is Ryker's thread, when Gray reaches out to it, is frayed. And my assumption is this is because Moss can split off into so many different beings. It's not one thread. It's essentially all the little strings that make up the rope.
Oh,
that was my theory.
That's a good theory.
Does he feel the thread to every piece of Moss instead of just like one thread to whoever the main Moss creature is?
Right, because this point she's not whole, so
she's not brain glob. She's she's animals, I'm assuming, rats or bunnies or something. So, and then as Gray is making his way into the castle, this is where we actually do get to meet Moss. So there is a random bunny just kind of sitting in the hallway, and Twain stealing a line from his favorite book growing up, I'm sure. Are you my mother?
Or all the Whovians that are you my mummy?
Are you my mummy? Mum, is that you?
Oh man, that's the creepiest episode ever. Starting with chapter chapter 42, the Most Ancient Shapeshifter. How absolutely insane is this, watching all of these rabbits just like forming into what is moss, and like blobs of random feet and fur and legs and tails and eyes and such floating around, and like is this really just a trip? It's like a serious acid trip, or?
Yeah, I picture it like acid meets like Go-Go Power Rangers type of deal. Like the bunnies just morph up and you just see Moss kind of like get constructed into bunny creature.
I do find that this is a very touching moment for Twain because he finally gets to meet his mother. And Moss kind of makes a comment about like, you know what, I guess if Gray's taking care of you and doing what he should be doing, I guess I'll let let him keep you. And Twain was very upset that she like even thought about taking Twain away from Gray, because Gray's the one that stayed. He found Twain and Gray stayed. So Twain also finds out that he, in fact, was a twin, and that he chased after his twin, or after his sibling, when they had bonded. So, first time I read this, I thought that was meaning like Zahn had probably been bonded for freaking ever, but I don't think that was the case. I think this is a more recent bonding than I was thinking. I also believe that Twain is the older of the two twins, because like you can't not have that. You have Gray, who's the older of the two twins, and you have Zahn, who's the younger of the two twins. Zahn can't have the older twin of the Twains.
No, but I agree with that. The one thing I just thought of, if Twain's a twin, could Zahn have tried to steal his soul instead? Like, he probably didn't. Like, did he not realize Twain was a twin? Unless Twain is the young. Like, that makes me think Twain's the younger twin because Zahn didn't try and steal his soul. But I don't know.
But would it count? Because, I mean, mystical creatures need souls to grow.
They do, but, like, the Leviathan was killed. And it was a twin too, which makes me think that like it could be mystical creatures as well. It didn't just have to be humans, because like the Leviathan. So I'm like, could he? That like was Twain just the younger, and that's why he didn't go after, or could for whatever reason Zahn not tell that Twain was a twin?
Shammy.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions.
It's Well, then technically Zahn would have his brother because he has the older of the twins.
He does. But do we know Zahn has his twin?
It's speculated.
Speculated.
I don't think it's ever that I can remember. I don't remember if it's ever explicitly stated that Zahn has the twin to Twain. But then, never mind. Before I keep going down a rabbit hole.
we are very far down a Moss rabbit hole right now.
Oh my gosh, it's making my brain hurt. All right, so going back, Gray does ask Moss whether Twain has a gaes or a virtue true form ability, or true form. Moss is able to say that Twain has a gaes true form, which means he has to accomplish some kind of a mission or task prior to being able to transform. Moss is even actually able to tell them what the mission or feat is in order to get true form. And it's sort of a riddle of the fact that Twain and Gray have to defeat the most ancient of shapeshifters. Gray's kind of working this out through his head, or he's talking out loud, and it's like, well, everybody knows, because he thought about a doppelganger, which, like, a non-transformed doppelganger, like the actual doppelganger, is nightmare fuel for freaking sure. But she's like, no, that's not it. And everybody has met the oldest shapeshifter in the world. Everybody knows them, so it can't be that. Before he steps off with his pondering of what this could be, he does remember to ask that Ryker would be able to enchant the runes with the occult aura that he has. And Ryker basically says that if he does, then he will be able to transform into any animal or person that he would want to. And Gray's like, this is freaking cool. And Ryker's like, yeah, not so much. It feels really weird.
It makes my bones tingle. I'm itchy on the inside.
As they're walking back towards the competition, because the trumpets sound for the next event, Deimos is actually really quick to answer this riddle, and that Gray has to be able to defeat fear, and fear is in the most ancient of shapeshifters, as it's always changing since the dawn of time. People's fears change.
Chapter 43, the Unicorn Race. We are rooting for Novak. Soren and Nini are also rooting.
Novak.
Yes, I know. Go Novak. Prove them bullies wrong. So, as they are going through the race, we do have our Nixie bullies, and one of them just so happens to crash into Novak as he's in the lead. They both fall, other people pass. Novak ends up getting like 5th or 6th or something, so not great. Gray's like, yo, I'm gonna go snitch, because, yeah, don't do that, Gray. But he does go and snitch to Leon. Leon's like, well, there's no real way to prove it, so you're kind of just out of luck. I don't know what to tell you, kid. Maybe go give him some words of encouragement. Gray's like, sure, I'll give him a pep talk. Deimos actually gets pretty angry at this, and there's some memories of Zahn getting bullied, and Deimos essentially solves the problem. He's like, yeah, I just went and beat everyone's skull in, and then nobody bullied Zahn anymore because they wanted their skulls intact.
Oh, didn't just beat their skulls in. He smashed them in with tombstones.
Don't want to underplay the point there, yeah. He really hammered home the... Yeah, you're gonna die by a tombstone. The next challenge we get to is the obstacle course. It's a bunch of different obstacles. The first one is mud, and Deimos does warn Gray, and Gray kind of misses the whole point. Deimos is like, yo, people are kind of slow when you're covered in that. Like, we used to do that all the time in the war. And Gray's like, what do you mean? And then goes in and he's like, wow, it's really slow in here. It's like, the dude was in wars. Like, listen to him once or twice. But he does see the Yeti freezing the mud and then going over it. So Gray's like, I'm going to steal that. Takes the magic, ices it over. They get to a rock wall. Gray decides to use foxfire to create a rope. He's climbing up, but when he's partway up, Deimos again goes into pain and Gray ends up falling down to the ground.
Chapter 4, the final competition. Gray ends up tapping into Papa Deimos' magic, and he's basically given the strength of the abyssal dragon, using up one of them souls, and like bounds over the rock wall, and then bounds over the thorn bushes, like hurdles the thorn bushes like it's nothing. And when he finally gets done, he looks back, and even Captain Leon is in shock that Gray's already finished. And of course, the Nixie Arcanists are all stuck up in the brambles, and we're just hoping that they fall face first into him, just give him some just rewards there. But again, Gray wins that one, and he gets to prove those two asshats there ain't that shit. We have the archery competition next, and they end up using imp targets instead of regular ones. And now we are here to cheer on Phyla. And even Nazbet is openly cheering her on. We have the douchebag that gave her the bow. He's like, oh, I'm going to do this for you. Fuck douche.
So
She ends up winning the competition. It's essentially whoever can hit the most imp targets in 5 minutes is the winner. I imagine from like the parent standpoint and not knowing what these things are, and probably very curious as to why these, like how they keep moving out of the way and how this is a real competition. But I would hope they would have gotten a demonstration of how it works, like at least just one, just to be able to like, okay, here you go. It's not that
let's
easy.
watch. It doesn't work.
It's not that easy. Like, don't think of
The students suck.
So Phyla wins, and we move on to our final competition, which is the professor bout. And of course, we have Jijo as the professor, being the one to fight the students. And they basically like punking everybody, like, hey, whoever wants to go first, if you beat Jijo, then nobody else has to do this. But he's also at like his strongest right now, so you know, if you want to try to win it early and so that nobody else has to compete today. Gray very elegantly Jedi mind tricks Legat into volunteering first, and Legat was a absolute frickin' joke. Jijo is actually described as being bored with him, and it's just one of those like, yes, thank you. And just as Gray is about to volunteer as tribute, we have Nazbet come and volunteer himself, and he is going to impress Phyla.
Chapter 45, the fundraiser dinner. So he's kind of biding his time in the arena versus Jijo. Eventually they kind of go at each other, and he ends up slapping a sandstone bracelet on a Jijo. So because his evocation takes really long to work, he essentially needed to just kind of stand there and like build up his sandstone to be able to use it. This isn't super effective though, and Jijo's still able to move around. So instead he just augments himself to be super strong, picks up his freaking stone golem and throws it at Jijo. He does not hit Jijo, but Jijo does have to use his dragon magic to get out of the way, which ends up disqualifying him. So Nazbet does end up winning.
Yeah. Go Nazbet!
Go Nazbet. It is time for dinner, and as Gray is meandering through the crowds again, he's hearing whispers. People still think the students are soft, and Gray has this discussion with Deimos about it, and Deimos is like, I mean, I wouldn't call them soft, I'd call them untested. And I actually really like this perspective, because it's like, how can you expect students that are living a much nicer life than what you had to have the same strengths that you gained from going through those struggles. So it's one of those things where it's like you get the struggle, you get the strength from it. You then pass on not having the struggle, which means you don't have the strength. So it's kind of like this roller coaster back and forth, good times, bad times type of deal. So a really interesting perspective from Deimos, and I really do appreciate it because he doesn't hold it against the students. He's like, they're a product of their situation.
And this kind of, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier on back with the beginning of the Academy series on how different things are with the way that they learn how to use their magic with all this other stuff in comparison to like Volk when he joined the Frith Guild. There was no like, oh, here's 3 weeks of lessons and then, okay, now we're going to teach you how to start using your basic forms of magic. Shit, Zelfrey was trying to get pushed off the top of Gentle the first day he was actually out there helping. And even Ruma was there helping, teaching them their basic forms of magic. You know, again, products of their environment, and they grew up in a completely different environment.
They didn't have to smash people's heads in with tombstones. Like, they're probably going to get bullied. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right, and that's why, like, when Gray always, like, when we can't just do that anymore. We can't just go around and punch people in the face anymore. Like, it's not acceptable, okay?
It's called murder. It's frowned upon in most societies.
But with that ends this week's 5 chapters, and next week we are going to be finishing out the last 4, but we also get a blooper chapter, so yay, bloopers. Bloopers. Love a blooper chapter. With that, Scott, do you have anything else you'd like to add today?
Nope, I'm set.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week.